Hello. Just finishing up my coffee. So for those who are already here with me, if you're interested in following along, I have a playlist on Spotify. I believe it was posted in the comments or on the Yoga Buzz Facebook page. So yeah, you're welcome to follow along. I'll cue you when to hit play, so that way we're all in sync. So yeah, just knowing that that's an option. But yeah, I'll give it a few minutes before I start the class, just making time for, yourself to get adjusted, maybe having some props. You're welcome to use blocks or a strap or maybe even a bolster. I don't have a bolster with me here right now, but you could always use a pillow or a cushion, anything like that, or even a blanket too. I like having a blanket with me that I can have beneath me when I'm sitting, or sometimes when I'm on my knees. I have old lady knees, it feels like sometimes, especially on a harder surface. So yeah, knowing that using props is always a great option. So yeah, just taking a few minutes here to just settle in and waiting for some others maybe to arrive. And like I said, my name is Kat, for those who don't know me. I'm originally from New Zealand, and I've lived in St. Louis since 2010. And I've been teaching with Yoga Buzz for a little over a year now. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy teaching for Yoga Buzz. I really enjoy meeting all of you guys. It's always a pleasure, always a delight. And for those who have done class with me before, you guys know that I really love coming up with a playlist. So that's why I'm always more than happy to share my music. So if you ever want to know what music I'm using for a class, you're always welcome to come up after, and I'll let you know what it's called. Cool. All right, so it's 9:03. I'll maybe take another minute waiting for people to arrive, and then we can go ahead. It's a slow flow today, so we're gonna be moving at a relatively slow speed. So it's not like a typical vinyasa class or anything like that. We'll start the class with, a grounding practice, or what we call centering, and do a little bit of breath work, and then we'll do some movement of the spine. So, some side bending, some flexion of the spine, some extension, and yeah, some twists or some rotations, which if you're used to doing a yoga practice, you know that that's typically how a yoga class begins. And then we'll just, carry on with some mindful movement. So, all right. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so knowing that, I want you to make sure that you're always listening to your body. So if anything doesn't feel good, you're always welcome to adjust it in a way that feels good for you. So listening to the body is really important, right? That's how we avoid injury. So if our body is telling us this doesn't feel good, that's your body telling you that, pain is going to follow. So just keeping an awareness of that. So finding a seated position on your mats, whatever that looks like for you. The legs can be crossed, or sometimes it feels better having the legs extended long in front of you. So just finding a position here that feels good for you. And then once you're there, just take a deep breath through the nose, exhale out through the mouth, and then you're welcome to close the eyes or soften the gaze. That really just means letting the eyelids be heavy. And then just take notice of the body here. Just take notice of how you're feeling right now, right here in this space on your mat. You might feel some parts of the body that are kind of feeling a little off today, or you might be feeling, on top of the world. So just acknowledging how you're feeling here. You might have some thoughts passing through. Know that that's okay, whether they're negative or positive. Acknowledge them, but trying to come back to this moment, trying to come back to where we are right now. And then bringing your awareness or attention to the breath. What do you notice about your breathing here? Does your breathing feel deep, or does it feel shallow? Maybe it feels a little shortened. So without trying to change the breath here, just acknowledge it, maybe checking in, seeing, just noticing. And then if you want, you're welcome to do a counting of the breathing. So inhale through the nose for a count of 3. And then exhale out through the mouth, trying to count to 4. And then just repeating that on your own here. So your count can be longer, it can be shorter, it's whatever feels most natural to you. Generally trying to expand or prolong the exhale, really allowing the air out of those lungs. And sometimes it feels a little easier, less abstract, I guess, having one hand on the chest or the heart and the other hand on the belly. And then maybe see how the breathing feels here. So you might notice on the inhale, the chest and belly expand. And then on the exhale, notice those parts of the body relax. So just repeating that, a few more breaths here. You might even notice that if the fingers are on the belly and the chest, that you might notice that they slightly come apart as you inhale. So noticing they're allowing that room for the expansion. And then when you're ready, I invite you to allow the hands to rest down on the thighs or just above the knees. Keeping the eyes closed or gaze softened. And then just thinking about what you want to get out of this practice today. It can be whatever you want, just acknowledging what you're wanting out of this practice. Or maybe even an intention of the practice would be another way of wording it. So just giving you a moment to find what that is. And then when you're ready, you can go ahead and blink the eyes open if they were closed. Maybe just take a look around your space. If you're in a room, acknowledging the 4 corners of the room in front of you. And then maybe even just gazing down at your mat. Maybe even just squeezing the hands together, making fists with the hands. And then on the exhale, letting those hands open up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with those movements of the spine. So let's go ahead and, if you've got Spotify, go ahead and hit play on the first track, which is a Leon Bridges tune. I'm very fond of him, so you'll see him on my playlist quite a bit. So I'm going to have my volume down low. So that way I can still see what songs we are all listening to. That way we're all in sync together. All right, so keeping the hands down by the sides. Go ahead and keep the left hand grounded as you inhale, reaching the right hand up. Think about reaching those fingers up towards the ceiling. And then on the exhale, just reaching over to the left. And so when we're here, we want to keep that right hip down on the ground. And then you're welcome to walk out that left hand, just trying to allow that expansion on the right side. So really allowing that stretch. And the gaze can look down towards your mat, even maybe just up under that right arm. And remembering to breathe here, just at your own pace, whatever feels natural for you. And then on the inhale, coming back to center, exhale, lowering the right hand down. Inhale, reaching up with the left, exhale over to the right. And then same thing here, trying to keep that left hip down as you walk out that right hand, knowing that that's an option. You don't have to. If it feels better with that right hand in, you're welcome to leave it there. And then same thing here, gaze can look up under that arm, and maybe even down towards that mat. Remembering to breathe here. You might even reach a little bit further on the next inhale. And then exhale, let it out. Inhale, coming back to center. So we're going to do one more time on each side. Inhale, reaching up with the right. Exhale, over to the left. And then this time, you might even want to walk out that left arm long, but maybe even bringing it up about a 45-degree angle. And just seeing if you notice any difference in that stretch here. Or if that feels weird or you don't like it, you can always bring the arm back. Options are great. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, lower the right. Inhale, reaching up with the left. Exhale, over to the right. And then same thing here, having the option to walk out that right hand, maybe bringing it on that 45-degree angle, seeing if that feels a little different here. And then inhale, come back to center. Exhale, lower that left hand down. Inhale, reaching both arms up, palms touch. Exhale, hands down, heart center. Inhale, reaching those hands up. On the exhale, we're going to turn the chest towards the right. As the chest turns, we're going to lower the right and left hand down. So the left hand can just be in front of that right knee, or you might even feel better letting that left hand come up just on the right thigh. That right hand can just be behind you. And then on the inhale, think about sitting up tall. And then on the exhale, maybe even using that left hand to guide you a little deeper into that stretch. Gaze can look over the right shoulder, if it feels okay on the neck. Or if it doesn't, you can always bring the gaze back to the front. Inhale, come back to center, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reaching the hands up. Exhale, turning to the left. You might even notice this side feels a little different. Or maybe it feels the same. Yeah, maybe you don't even notice a difference. And so again, you can use that right hand to help you sit up tall, and then exhale, deepening into that twist or rotation. Breathing here. Inhaling back to center, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we're going to do some seated cat-cow. So you're welcome to let the hands rest on the knees or the thighs. And then on the inhale, we're going to draw the chest forward and then gaze coming up. So you're creating a sort of dip in the spine here. So inhale, coming forward. Gaze can come up towards the ceiling. And then on the exhale, we're going to round the spine. So the shoulders are coming forward, and you're creating that C shape in the spine here. Chin can come down towards the chest. Or it might even feel better intertwining the fingers and then turning the palms out. And then on the inhale, coming back to that cow pose. Exhale into cat. Inhale to cow. Exhale back to cat. And you can repeat that 2 more breaths here. I'm going to turn back this way. Exhale back to cat. And then on the next inhale, we're going to meet with a neutral spine. So that just means seated as we begin our practice. And we're going to make our way into a tabletop position here. So it's going to look like this on the side. And then we're going to do the same cat-cow pose here, just in tabletop. So the hands can be just under those shoulders, knees can be under the hips, or maybe for you, you feel like It's more comfortable having the hands adjusted a bit further away from you. So it's just finding what feels good and sturdy for you. And then on the inhale, we're going to drop the belly down, shoulders retracting, and then lifting the gaze up and forward. You might even notice a stretch in the abdominals here. And then on the exhale, rounding the spine, chin coming in towards the chest for cat. Inhale, back to cow. Exhale into cat. Inhale, back to cow. Exhale into cat. All right, and then when you're ready, we're going to find a child's pose here. So you can bring the knees out to the long edges of your mat. The big toes can touch. And then on the exhale, just bring the hips down towards the heels. And then allowing those hands to, or arms to extend long. And then letting the forehead rest down on your mat. And then as you're ready, maybe lifting the gaze up and then bringing the right hands over to the left and then letting that forehead come down to the mat. Finding a bit of a stretch here in that right side. Gaze can maybe even look under the right arm. And on the inhale, gaze coming back up and then walking that left hand over to the right. And then you can let the forehead rest down on the mat, or maybe even the gaze just coming up under that left arm. And then on the next inhale, bringing the arms back to extended long. And then inhale, coming back to that tabletop pose. And then we're just going to walk the hands back towards the thighs, coming up forward, just on the knees here. And we're going to extend the right leg long. The sole of that right foot can just rest down there. You can let that right hand just rest on that right thigh. As we inhale, reaching that left hand up, and then exhale, just finding a slight bend here. Notice that you won't go too far, but you're just finding that stretch in that left side. Gaze can look under that left arm or maybe even down towards the mat. Inhale, come back up. On the exhale, we're going to lower that left hand down to the mat. Or if you have a block handy, it might even feel better letting that hand rest on the block. As we inhale, reaching up with the right, exhale over to the left. Inhale, back to center. Then we're going to switch sides. So bringing that right knee back in to meet the left. Keeping that block handy if you really enjoy that. Exhale, extend that left leg long. Keeping that left hand on that thigh. Inhale, reaching up with the right. Exhale over to the left. Feeling that stretch on this side here. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, bringing that right hand down to the mat or to the block. Inhale, reaching up with the left. Exhale over to the right. Inhale, come back to center. Then when you're ready, bringing that knee back in to meet the right. And we're going to find another child's pose here. So when you're ready, making that space available to you. Exhale, letting the hips come down towards the heels. And then this time on the exhale, really seeing if you can really let that torso sink in. Maybe noticing the expansion of the ribs against the thighs. Sometimes even having a bolster or a cushion under here can just help you feel a little more supported. So I always invite people to use props and maybe even finding a new way to use the props. So noticing it's okay to explore and find something that works for you. And then on the inhale, bringing those hands close towards the head. Inhale, lifting back up. And then we're going to find our way up to a standing position here. So we're going to get ready for our first downward facing dog. So with that pose, you might notice I'm using two mats here because I have a tendency to move around a lot. So I'm going to adjust my way this way. And then, so you notice the hands are under the shoulders. So go ahead and just bring them a little bit out longer to the top edge of the mat, tucking those toes. And then on the inhale, I just want you to lift up those knees just gently here, a few inches maybe off the mat. And then on the exhale, pushing the chest towards the thighs, and then lifting up those hips. So I'm going to take my socks off here. It's kind of cold in my sunroom right now, so the socks are helping me stay warm, but it's kind of hard to get that grip. So meeting you in that downward facing dog. And with this one, you're really thinking about extending the back here. And notice that the heels do not have to touch the mat. It's an option here if it feels okay. You'll notice more of a stretch in those hamstrings. And then on the inhale, I want you to think about bringing the shoulders forward. So we're now in what's called the top part of a push-up, right? So I want the shoulders so they're over the wrists. You can see the toes here, just sort of resting here. And when I say resting, I mean working everything. All right, so on an exhale, go ahead and keep the elbows in tight, and then lower yourself all the way down to the mat. And then once you're here, untuck those feet so the top parts of the feet are touching the mat. And then inhale, coming up for that baby cobra. So keeping the elbows in close to the torso. And then exhale, lower down. And when you're ready, tucking those toes, exhale all the way back into child's pose. Inhale back to tabletop, adjusting those hands. I'm going to turn back this way, lifting those knees. Exhale into your downward facing dog. And you can pedal out the feet here. So by pedaling out the feet, what you're doing is you're straightening one leg, bending the other, and then allowing one heel to touch the mat while the other comes off the mat. So you'll notice here by doing this, you're finding a stretch in those calf muscles. And I'm actually dealing with a strain in the calf muscle on my left right now. So I'm listening to my body by not going further than I need to. And then when you're ready, finding that moment to pause, and then inhale back into that top part of a push-up or that plank. And then go ahead and lower those knees. And then when you're ready this time on an exhale, allowing those elbows to stay in tight as you exhale, lower all the way down to the mat. And then letting the top parts of the feet rest on the mat as we inhale back to that cobra. Exhale, lower back down, tucking those toes. Exhale back into child's pose. And then when you're ready on the inhale, coming back for that tabletop position. And this time we're going to step the right foot forward. And then you want to make sure that you feel good and balanced here. So keeping that knee generally over that ankle. And then you can let that back foot, you can let the top part of that foot rest on the mat. Or if you want to feel more of a stretch in that foot here, you can always just come up on the toes. Keep that left hand planted down, or maybe even reaching for a block, bringing the floor closer to you. Then inhale, reaching up for that twist. So reaching up that right hand, finding that twist here. And then on an exhale, lower that right hand down. So you're welcome to, I'm going to move this way again. So with this one, you're welcome, we're going to find a hip opener here. So you're welcome to walk out that right foot to the long edge of your mat. And then we're just allowing that knee to come out just slightly here. Hands can rest on the mat or maybe even coming up onto a block. Feeling that stretch in that right leg here and that hip. And then when you're ready, bringing that right knee back, exhale into your child's pose. Inhale back to tabletop. And when you're ready, stepping that right foot forward. Keeping a block close if you like using that in your practice. Keeping that right hand planted on the mat or the block. Inhale, reaching the left arm up. And then on an exhale, lowering that left hand back down and walking that left foot to the long edge of your mat, allowing for that opener here and that hip, and then maybe even bringing the block closer, maybe even lifting the chest up. Maybe just playing around here and seeing what feels good for you. Sometimes I like bringing the forearm to rest on the thigh, not on the knee. I always try to stay away from the joints here. So just allowing a little bit of slight pressure here, I will say, nothing too crazy. And on the exhale, letting that left hand lower, bringing that left knee in to meet the right. And then when you're ready on the exhale, finding that child's pose. And another option for child's pose too, I didn't mention this earlier, but you can always bring a blanket up or even a block to let the forehead rest. Sometimes that feels more supportive. So like I said, just playing around and exploring. You're in your own home, right? So you can do whatever you want to do. You got the freedom for that. Inhale, come back to that tabletop position, and we're going to find our way back into downward facing dog. So tucking those toes, adjusting the hands as you need. Inhale, lifting up the knees a few inches off. Exhale, lifting up those hips. And then when you're ready, exhale, walking those hands to meet the feet. So we're going to be into that forward fold. And then with this one, your legs don't have to be straight. You can always have a soften the bend in those knees and really just allow that crown of the head to come down. Or if you feel like your hamstrings are really tight, you're always welcome to use a block. So maybe this is your forward fold, okay? So you're always welcome to just bend those knees, allowing that chest to come down to those thighs. And then on the inhale, we're just going to straighten those legs, coming up for that halfway lift. So trying to keep that back flat here, elbows in close to the torso, and then think about the crown of the head. So that's this part of the head facing the front of the room, wherever that is for you. Exhale back into that forward fold. And we're going to keep a bend in those knees as we inhale, slowly coming all the way up to standing. Arms coming wide, palms touching overhead, hands coming down to heart center. All right, and then you just might want to take a look at where your feet are. So you can keep the feet under the hips. So sometimes when you say hips, a lot of people think way out here, but just sort of acknowledge where your hips are, right? And then try to think about extending a line all the way down and then see your feet there. And then rolling the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward, gaze facing forward. With this one, you can really feel the muscles of your leg too. If you really think about squeezing the quads here. And then inhale, reaching those hands up, palms touch. Exhale, bring hands to heart center. And with this one, if you have a block handy, I invite you to go reach it now. And you can keep a block between the thighs. And for some of you, you might already know what pose we're about to do, so get excited. We're going to find chair pose here. So if you don't have a block, you can always just imagine that one is there. And then think about squeezing the thighs as you exhale. So the thumbs are staying into the sternum. Exhale, lowering those hips down. So you really think about shifting the weight into the heels here. And then if you want, you can extend the arms long. Really think about squeezing the biceps too. So the biceps squeezing in towards the face. So I'm going to creep around this way so you can see what I mean. So the toes I can wiggle here because I've shifted the weight into my heels. So I'm working the quads and the glutes. So this is a really functional pose that in physical therapy we love. And then inhale, coming back into standing. And then on the exhale, finding your swan dive into your forward fold. So hopefully you're feeling your quads and glutes after that one. Inhale, coming up for that halfway lift. Exhale, back into that forward fold. Keeping a bend in those knees if it feels good. Then inhale, coming all the way up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, seeing where those feet are again. We're going to find some twist here. So on the inhale, we're going to reach up. Exhale, opening up to the right. So with this one, I want you to think about keeping the hips facing forward and really just think about the arms going. So it's really just the torso that's doing the movement here. So the arms are parallel. Or if it feels like too much, you can always lower that right arm down to the back and just leave that left arm forward. So that way you're just like rolling that right shoulder back. Gaze can look over the right shoulder. And inhale, coming back to center, palms touch. Exhale, bringing those hands all the way down to that forward fold, all the way down to mat or maybe even to your block. Inhale up for halfway lift. Exhale into forward fold. Inhale, reaching all the way back up. Palms touch. Exhale, bringing hands to heart center. Inhale, reaching those hands up. Exhale, open into that twist on the left side. Same thing here. If it feels like it's too much with that back hand, you can always just lower it down to the low back or maybe even that left hip. Gaze looking over the left shoulder. Then inhale, come back to center, palms touch. Exhale, finding that forward fold, taking your time here. Inhale up for that halfway lift. Exhale, lowering those hands back into that forward fold. Keeping a bend in those knees as we inhale, rising all the way up. Palms touch. Exhale, bring hands down to heart center. Finding that chair pose again. I'm going to do this without the block, seeing if I can challenge myself here. So on the exhale, just lowering those hips down, thumbs standing close to the sternum. And then when I feel good and ready here, like I've shifted the weight into my heels, I'm going to reach those arms out in front of me. Squeezing those biceps too here. And then on the exhale, finding that forward fold, keeping a bend in those knees as we inhale, rising all the way up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, this time we're going to find a twist with a little bit of a balance challenge here. So we're going to come up onto the toes of the right foot. Inhale, reaching those hands up, palms facing each other. Exhale, turning to the right. And this time you might even just want to try lifting off the toes of that right foot. And notice that your gaze, should probably stay on a spot that doesn't move. So you can look out to the right side or maybe even behind to that right hand. Seeing how your gaze feels here. And if you even bring your knee up about hip level here, you can even reach that left hand over to the outside of the right thigh and see how the balance feels here. And it's always okay to just drop that foot down and then maybe try again. And then exhale, lower that foot back down. Inhale, coming back with those hands overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, same thing, other side. Coming up into the toes of that left foot. We're going to inhale, reaching those hands up, palms facing each other. Exhale, opening up to the left. And then when you're feeling good and ready, you can maybe just try lifting those toes up. And remember, you can maybe just lift up a little bit and then lower, and know that that's okay. Or maybe you can even grab a block. So that way you're still bending that leg, and then maybe try lifting that knee up to hip level, then letting that right hand come to the outer thigh of that left. Balance poses can be really challenging, right? So even if, like I said, even if you're down here, that's okay. And then go ahead and lower that left foot down. Inhale, coming back to center, palms touch. Exhale, finding your way to that forward fold again. Inhale for that halfway lift. This time, reaching the right hand long. Almost like you're about to give someone a high five here. Then exhale, lowering into that forward fold. Inhale, coming up for that halfway lift. This time reaching the left arm long. And then exhale into your forward fold. Maybe finding a twist here. We're going to come up or bend that right leg. You can keep a block handy, or you can even touch the mat. It's whatever your preference is. So keeping that right hand down as we inhale, lifting the left arm up. Gaze can follow, or the gaze can look down towards the mat. And then on the exhale, finding that forward fold, straightening that knee. And then we're going to bend the left leg. So left hand coming down to the mat or to the block. As we inhale, reaching that right hand up. So you might even feel that intense stretch along that hamstring of that right leg. And then exhale, straightening that leg, finding that forward fold here. Keeping a bend in those knees as we inhale, rising all the way up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, I don't even know what song we're on. I kind of lost track of that one. Oh, William Elliott Whitmore. He's awesome. And I like the lyrics of this song, so hopefully if you guys are following along, you're really enjoying the playlist. Like I said, I like to listen to music or play music that I enjoy listening to because it makes me feel good. And you know what? Yoga to me is such a powerful practice. And I feel like when it's combined with music, especially music I love and it means something to me, I get more out of the practice. So I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it also. Inhale, reaching those hands up, palms, facing each other here. Exhale, hinging at the waist, finding that forward fold. Inhale, up for that halfway lift. Exhale into the forward fold. Keep a bend in those knees as we inhale, rising all the way back up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, we're going to find a wide-legged forward fold now. So I invite you to bring the hands to the hips here and then step the feet out, as wide as you feel comfortable, finding that stretch here. So we're finding that forward fold, right? So you can keep the hands up on the hips here, the waist. And then as you exhale, we're just going to hinge at the waist here, thinking about lowering that chest down towards that mat. And then when you're ready, letting those hands rest on the mat or even your block. And then you're going to reach those hands far forward as you feel comfortable here, keeping or trying to maintain your balance. And then allowing that crown of the head to lower down towards the mat. And then we're going to walk those hands back on the inhale. And then on an exhale, reaching those hands behind you so they're coming under the hips here. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, walking those hands over to the left foot. Almost did right. Caught myself. Proud of myself for that one. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, walking the hands over to the right foot. Look at me, knowing my left from my right. Inhale, coming back to center. We're going to go ahead and soften the knees here. You can keep the toes out on about a 45-degree angle as you inhale, slowly rising all the way back up. So that can be kind of intense on the legs here, so I always like to soften the knees before we do that. And then go ahead and heel and toe the feet back in towards the middle. Feet under the hips. Inhale, reaching those hands up, palms touch. Exhale, hands coming down to that forward fold. Keep it a bend in those knees as we inhale, rising all the way back up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, reaching those hands up. Exhale, letting those hands float down to the sides. All right, we're going to find some more stretching on the side body here. So we're going to keep the left hand on the hip. And then inhale, reaching up with the right. Exhale over to the left. Now with here, you might want to challenge yourself with the balance. So I invite you to come up onto the toes of the right foot. And then maybe even flexing that right foot. So by flexing, I mean bringing the toes to point up towards the body. And then if you want to, maybe even lifting that leg out just a little bit here. Just almost imagining yourself like a water spout. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, lower that foot. And switching hands. So the right hand is coming up on the hip. Inhale, reaching that left hand up. Exhale over to the right. And then maybe coming up into the toes of the left. And then when you're ready, flexing that left foot. And maybe just reaching it up just a little bit. Maybe feel more comfortable with it closer to the mat. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, letting that left hand down and maybe just finding some marching here. So I have my hat on here because it's, like I said, it's kind of chilly. And then my hair is kind of a mess anyway, so it's, you know, double whammy right there. All right, and then slower the march here. Take a moment to even just close the eyes here. Acknowledge the breath. Maybe even rolling the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward, finding that strong mountain pose here. Go ahead and blink the eyes back open. Inhale, reaching those hands up overhead. Exhale, hands coming down to heart center. All right, we're going to find a few more balanced poses. Probably going to go a little bit longer than 45 minutes. Just want you guys to get in, you know, as much as you can out of this practice. All right, so we're going to find tree pose. All right, so you can keep the hands here at the chest, or you can maybe even bring the hands to the hips. I'm going to keep mine here because that feels most comfortable right now. So shifting the weight into the left leg, we're going to come up onto the toes of the right. And then when you're ready on the exhale, allowing that right knee to come out towards the right side. And then that heel of the right foot can just rest up above that left ankle. And then when you're ready, you can slide that foot up even. Or maybe you're like, no way, Jose, I'm keeping my foot down here. And know that that's okay. So just knowing where you're feeling comfortable and on what side. And then sometimes knowing when you're ready for a challenge, right? So one of the parts of yoga practice is knowing when to challenge yourself by maybe pushing a little bit further, or sometimes challenging yourself by acknowledging that your body isn't wanting that right now. So you can always bring that sole of that right foot up to the inner thigh here. And then when you're ready, reaching those hands up, growing those branches of your tree, maybe even swaying the branches of your tree, or maybe bringing those hands back into heart center. And then when you're ready, exhale, whew, let that left leg shake out. It did a lot of work. Let the right hand shake out, or yeah, let the hand shake out. Just let everything shake out. All right. And then finding your mountain pose again. Inhale, rolling the shoulders up, back and down, palms facing forward. Inhale, reaching those hands up, palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. All right, so we're going to do the other side. So we're going to shift the weight into that right leg, coming up into the toes of the left. Exhale, opening up that left knee towards the left, letting the heel of that left foot just come up above that ankle. And then when you're ready, actually knowing that this can be tree pose right here, right? You don't have to lift that foot off. Or maybe even using a block underneath that foot could be another option too. And when you're ready, inhale, letting that foot slide up if that's in your practice today. Or you guys know the deal, bringing the left foot up to the inner thigh. Then inhale, reaching those hands up. Exhale, inhale. Letting the swaying of your arms, aka branches of your tree, flow. And then when you're ready, I'm going to bring my hands back to heart center. Exhale, whew, let those legs shake out. All right, we're going to find our way down onto our mat on our backs. Inhale, reaching those hands up, palms touch. Exhale, finding that forward fold. And then when you're ready, walking those hands to the front of the mat, stepping those feet back, and then lower those knees down to the mat. Finding child's pose again on your exhale. And then inhale, coming back to that tabletop. And then finding a seat here. And then when you're ready, finding your way down onto your back so you can keep the legs bent with the soles of the feet resting down on the mat. You could already go onto the back however you find is easiest for you. Or if you want an abdominal workout, some people really like this, some don't. So knowing you have options, extending those arms long, thumbs pointing up, palms facing in towards each other. Exhale, tucking that tailbone and slowly using your abdominals here to lower yourself down. And then once you're there, keeping or bringing the legs, knees in closer to the chest. So the sole, or heels, I should say, closer in towards the hips. And then bring the feet out to the long edges of your mat. So maybe just feeling where your long edges of your mat are. Arms coming out wide if you have room. And then on the exhale, we're just going to let the knees come over to the right. And if you want, your gaze can look over towards that left shoulder. Inhale, bringing those knees back up. Exhale, letting those knees come over to the left. Gaze looking over the right shoulder. Inhale, bringing those knees back up. One more time on each side. Exhale, over to the right. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, over to the left. Inhale, back to center. When you're ready, bringing those knees in towards the chest. Using those hands to hug those shins. I feel like we all need a hug right now. Life is kind of crazy for everyone, right? Just rocking from side to side, giving yourself a low back massage, knowing that you deserve this practice. Taking the time to slow down, check in with the body, the mind, see how you're doing. And then when you're ready, extending the left leg long, keeping the right knee in towards the chest, extending the right arm long. As you exhale, bringing the left knee over to the left. Finding a twist here. So the gaze can look over the right hand that's extended long. No, you don't have to come over too far. As long as you're feeling that stretch, it feels like your body is, doing okay with it. That's what's most important. Inhale, coming back to center, bringing both knees in towards the chest, rocking from side to side. Exhale, extending the right leg long, using the right hands come over that left, extending that left arm long. Exhale, bringing that knee over to the right side. Gaze looking over that left shoulder. And then inhale, come back to center, bringing the right knee back in, and then rocking from side to side. Maybe even creating some circles with those knees. You can go clockwise or anti-clockwise. And then pause, and then go the opposite direction. I'm just going to sneak at my phone really quick and see what track we're on. Oh, Bill Withers. You guys were so sad when I heard the news, so I knew I had to play at least one of his songs. And that's one of the things right now. People are reaching out or just getting so much comfort from musicians and artists. It's like when times get tough, those are the individuals we look for comfort, right? So supporting those musicians out there when we can is so important. All right, and then take a moment to pause and then extend the legs long. And then allowing the arms to come out long too. Just taking a moment here to really let the shoulders rest. And then when you're ready, bending those knees. And then bending the elbows here, like robot arms. So I'll sit up just so you can see what I'm talking about with the arms. So I want the arms coming up like robot arms, or cactus arms, right? So you're going to be like this on the ground. And then when you're ready, what I want you to think about doing, this is called supine push-up. I love this. I think it's such a great pose that we can all use and benefit from. So when you're ready, on the inhale, I want you to think about pushing into those forearms. You're not going to come up too far, and just lifting that chest up. And then exhale, lower. Inhale here. And then when you're ready, on the inhale, just lifting the chest up just as far as you can. It's not going to be too far, like I said. And then exhale, lower. One more time here. Raise up. Exhale, lower. And then when you're ready, one last time here, bringing those knees in towards the chest, rocking from side to side. And then on the exhale, bringing the soles of the feet down towards the mat. We're going to find bridge pose here. So you can keep the feet a little, or bring them a little closer to the hips here. And then keeping the hands, palms down towards the mat. Inhale, think about lifting up those hips. And this is a good preparatory pose for wheel. A lot of people who enjoy wheel pose. You can bring the arms, or hands, I should say, underneath the back here. And when you're ready on the exhale to lower down, straighten out those arms to the side. Exhale, lower. We're going to find a stretch here. So keeping that right knee bent, we're going to bring that left foot up and over towards that right thigh. And then letting that left knee come down or out to the side. And then reaching forward to that right shin and bringing that knee, your right knee in closer. Finding that stretch here and that left thigh, especially towards the buttocks region, those glutes. And then exhale, lower that right foot, and we're going to switch sides. So when you're ready, letting that right knee rest over to the side. And reaching for that left shin, bringing that left knee in towards the chest. Really feel that in here, that back pocket area. And then exhale, letting that left leg come down. And then I'm going to, give you the option here to find a pose that you really enjoy doing before you find final rest, or Shavasana as we call it. So I'm going to sit up so you can hear me talk. So just guiding you into maybe your rest, maybe you're ready to just rest down your back, or maybe knowing that you also have other options for your rest. Sometimes, people prefer laying on their side like this, so with the knees bent, and you're using a pillow or a prop, blanket to lay on your side. Or you just lay down on your back with the feet maybe out towards the long edges of your mat, arms with palms facing up, just resting here, allowing expansion of the shoulders here, knowing that this is your option here. And then if you're listening to the music, just enjoying the last few songs here of the practice. My computer screen's gone blank, but I know you're still on, so I'm just going to go ahead and adjust it. So yeah, just taking a moment to find yourself in a peaceful state of rest, whatever that looks like for you. Like I said, it could be on your back or on your side. And then while you're taking the time to do that, I'm going to just close the practice with an inhale, reaching my hands up, palms touch, exhale, hands down to heart center. And I'm just going to bow my head just slightly, leaving you with the words peace, love, yoga, and just remembering that nothing is permanent, right? So that whole Buddhist philosophy of, I don't know if you're familiar with the mandalas, but they do this beautiful, intricate, with like fine grained sand. And then at the end, after they've created this, beautiful piece of artwork, they wipe it away and then collect the grains of sand. And it's just as a reminder that nothing's permanent. And, right now we're all in a situation that's very challenging, and none of us are immune from it. And by immune, I mean like dealing with the different processes, right, of how we're all managing this. So just remembering that coming together in community is so important, and just trying to find that grace and in times when times get tough. So have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll get to see you on the mat somewhere out in the public at one of our fun events with Yoga Buzz sometime in the future. We don't know when, but I look forward to seeing you on the mat again soon. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.